Today I'm going to tell you all about the groundbreaking Resound Nexia 9 Micro RIE aids, why these devices have caught the imagination of the hearing impaired public, and tell you about the many and varied reasons our patients at Zone 1 Hearing seem to love them, and finally whether you should consider purchasing a set for yourself. Hi, my name is Matthew Pearson from Zone 1 Hearing in West Hampstead, London, and for almost 20 years I've been prescribing and fitting hearing aids, so if you want to learn all about the latest hearing aids, accessories, apps, assistive devices and testing, please subscribe to our channel and make sure you like our content so it can be shared as widely as possible. Thank you. Firstly, why should you consider the Resound Nexia 9 Micro RIE as your next hearing aid system? Part of this decision links to heritage. Resound have brought a lot of firsts to the hearing aid industry. Much in the same way you probably had that drawer in your home with multiple types of phone chargers, which now have been pretty much replaced by one or two cables. The hearing aid programmer that almost the entire industry now uses is a Resound device which was adapted to be used to program almost every type of hearing aid. And this has been a game changer for the audiology community and has led to quicker adjustments to our patients' hearing aids. In 2010, Resound introduced the 2.4 GHz wireless antenna to their hearing aids, meaning that users of their devices didn't have to wear a neck-worn intermediary device to connect to a TV streamer anymore. As someone who goes back far enough that they used to offer the neck-worn type of intermediary devices in combination with TV streamers, I can tell you patients were always enthusiastic about the idea of streaming the sound from their TV, but suddenly lost that enthusiasm when they realised they had to purchase and charge and then wear a neck-worn device to facilitate this. If that wasn't enough, in conjunction with Apple, Resound are the people in 2013 who introduced the Made for iPhone connectivity standard and then worked in conjunction with Google to introduce the Made for Android standard in 2019. Together with the rest of the hearing aid industry, GN have been at the forefront of the push for the latest Bluetooth protocol, Bluetooth Low Energy Audio featuring Auracast, and with the first company to have that switched on within their aids. And I will come to the Bluetooth LE Audio and Auracast functionality shortly. There are a number of common questions our patients typically ask us when they are considering a set of hearing aids, and by addressing those and by sharing our patients' experiences with the Nexia, I think you will see why they have been so well received. So 1, will the aid that I'm considering cover my hearing loss now, and if it were to get worse in the future? Will the hearing aid sound natural? Will they help me hear in noisy environments? Will I feel self-conscious when I wear them? Will I be able to hear the TV more easily? Is a major new connectivity standard going to come out soon, rendering these devices that I've just invested my hard-earned money in obsolete? For some of our patients, will they help me cope with my tinnitus? Am I going to be able to adjust my hearing aids easily? Will I be able to hear better on the phone, both mobile or landline? Will I be able to hear on Zoom calls? Remembering if you don't hear well, you can remember considerably less of what was said in the meeting. Will I be able to hear well in the theatre or cinema? And finally, will I comfortably be able to get through the entire day with battery life to spare? So using the experiences of patients and product testers and our own experiences, I will attempt to answer these questions. So number 1, despite its diminutive size, the Resound Nexia 9 Micro RIE covers from a mild right down to a profound hearing loss. So we'll cover all but the most severe of hearing losses, and that has meant at Zone 1 Hearing we've been able to fit all but one of our patients who have requested a pair of these excellent aids with a set. Next, when I first saw them, I assumed that they had reduced fitting range, poorer battery life than predecessor models, and maybe GN had removed connectivity to get them down to such a small size. But fortunately, none of these assumptions were actually true. So hearing loss coverage. Regarding future deterioration, as with all digital programmable prescription hearing aids, the Resound Nexia 9 Micro RIEs can be programmed multiple times, so if your hearing were to deteriorate in the future, you can have your latest prescription loaded into the aids. As is becoming the norm with most manufacturers, Automatic relay measurements are available for a number of audiometers, so even those audiologists who are not expert in traditional relay measurements can quickly and easily provide a more bespoke fit that doesn't just assume that you have mythical average ears. Please note, this isn't available for online purchases where hearing aids were set up remotely or where the audiologist doesn't have real ear measurement equipment. If you aren't sure, be sure to get clarification before going ahead, because any aid will only perform to its full potential when it's accurately programmed. There are a number of different receiver strengths, so if you were to outgrow a particular receiver strength, this can be replaced by a new higher powered receiver or a dome that seals the ear more, or a custom tip to ensure that you continue to hear as well as possible. And at long last, Resound have finally introduced a CROS aid, which allows individuals with unaidable hearing losses on one ear to be able to experience all-around hearing. One example where this can be frustrating for both the hearing impaired individual and their significant others or friends can be if they are travelling in a car and that individual's dead ear is the ear nearest the driver or passenger, depending where they are in the car. We have found our patients enjoyed all-day use with the CROS and were delighted it shared the same tiny form factor as the aid itself and can use the same charger with its built-in battery pack, and that the aid-CROS combination was adjustable through the Resound Smart 3D app, allowing them to get the balance of sound just right. You are still able to take calls through smartphones, through the good ear, and listen to podcasts, etc., which our patients found were a major upgrade from their NHS issue bigger, battery-powered, non-wireless CROS aids. Natural sound. The Nexia aids tick this box in a number of ways. Firstly, in their all-around program, you have a focus ear and an awareness ear, delivering a natural sound but improved speech comprehension in more challenging environments. Next, depending on your degree of loss, it may be possible to fit you with a MIC receiver, aka mic and receiver in canal receiver, which places an additional microphone at the end of the receiver, which can offer the following benefits. MIC receivers offer a natural sound quality and can reduce listening effort. Improve localization. MIC receivers can help patients identify where sounds are coming from, both in front and from behind them. They offer reduced wind noise. So MIC receivers can help reduce wind noise by up to 15 decibels, which is up to 10 times more than traditional hearing aids are able to. Immersive experience. MIC receivers can help provide an individualized hearing experience that's more natural. Depth and direction. MIC receivers can help users judge the depth and distance of sound sources. MIC receivers can help each person's unique ear shape collect sound. They combine the advantages of the receiver in the canal style with the ability to connect sound in the ear canals. Hearing in noise. The Nexia 9 aids have an optional hearing noise program, which our patients have reported is effective in social settings. This can further be fine-tuned using the highly rated Resound Smart 3D app to make speech clearer still, and when you are happy with how you have configured the program, you can save and rename it for easy future use. When we have provided demonstrations in noise in our clinic, our patients have observed how effective this mode was at reducing other sounds and focusing in on the speech. Cosmetics. We posted a video about a gent who was caught in a quandary. He wanted that near invisible look of a completely in the canal aid, but when he tried a set of these, he felt not only was his own voice overemphasized, but he felt them to be uncomfortable and ineffective in noise. He was also frustrated by the lack of rechargeability and inability to stream sound from his phone for calls or content. Fortunately, the receiver and the canal aids he tried elsewhere addressed all the issues that he had with the CIC aids apart from one. He still felt too self-conscious to wear them. He was recommended to see us as the person sending him knew we were fully independent. We provided a demonstration and the gentleman was delighted with the size of the aid. unsurprisingly, being that the Nexia Micro RIE aids are the smallest rechargeable receiver in the canal aids on the market. But we wondered if we could improve the cosmetics yet further. We looked at the available colours and found we could match the aids to the Gents hair colour. And finally, we contacted Al Musser from Vanish Hide Your Hearing Aids and had a set of dies shipped. We dyed the wires, swapped to the black aid colour and connected the Gents iPhone to his aids to allow him to stream content and take calls and switch into his hearing noise program. He finally had a solution that ticked all of his boxes. So the next one, a bit of a combination: hearing TV, comfort, ease of insertion and making easy adjustments. We had one gent who felt his NHS aids were big, bulky, hard to insert, and he just disliked having to change batteries and still struggled to hear his TV. With a little bit of work, we were able to meet all of this gentleman's areas of need. Firstly, the Nexia aids were much more compact and easier to insert and less bulky, so making them more comfortable. He did find that the TV Streamer Plus that we provided him was challenging to access using the button on the back of the aid. Because it was such a small aid, consequently it had a small button. To access the streamer, he would remove the aid, look where the button was, then press it, and then put the aids back in. So we quickly decided he would benefit from having a remote control. Fortunately, the one we supplied him was very simple to operate. You simply switch it on, and then you can press a button that allows you to go between the normal program and then the TV Streamer Plus. If he was listening to a soap opera that was playing in the living room, but he was in the kitchen and he was having a cup of tea with his wife, he could simply press the button on the remote, and then if he wanted to participate in having a conversation with his wife, he was back in his automatic all-around program. He could simply press the button again and hear the sound from the TV in the next room directly into his ears. So he found this to be by far the easier solution rather than struggling to hear through his NHS aids or trying to press that small button. The sixth area we mentioned: will a new connectivity standard be released shortly, making these aids obsolete? Whereas some hearing aids are Bluetooth LE Audio Auracast ready, meaning rather confusingly they aren't ready yet, other models simply don't have this new standard. Right out the gate, the Nexia 9s had Bluetooth LE Audio and Auracast. Auracast transmitters are going to be fitted in ever-increasing numbers in the near future, and Auracast is predicted to be quickly adopted, as it is not just for those individuals who are hearing impaired, but also people with normal hearing who could connect with compatible earbuds and headphones. The Bluetooth low energy audio you're going to have access to at the moment is by streaming through certain phones, so certain Google Pixel and Samsung models, which will have enhanced sound quality for streaming when compared to iOS devices and older Android phones. In terms of access to Auracast, you've got the option to stream your TV through a Resound Auracast TV Plus streamer, which we would highly recommend if you choose a set of these aids, or when using the new Resound Auracast Remote Mic Plus, which I literally had for a few hours when one of our patients spotted it and asked why they should have to wait to order one when I had one right there. I have contacted my office today and they said a new mic has arrived for me, so I will hide it away and hope to get hands-on with it very shortly, so be sure to watch our pre-launch video on the Remote Mic Plus if you haven't already seen it. As an aside, the first time I tried the TV Streamer Plus, it was a school night. I was going to watch about 10 minutes of a movie for research purposes so I could compare with the existing TV streamer. And as it's one of my favourite movies, I thought, let me just watch a little bit of Get Carter just to get a feel. My goodness, I was absolutely blown away. So that 10 minutes ended up being almost 2 hours. I watched the whole movie and ended up going to bed around 3 AM, but it was a really excellent experience, especially considering the movie was recorded in 1970 and released in 1971. So I guess this will be a good excuse to watch some of my 4K Blu-rays, as these are newer content and not streamed, So the sound quality, if anything, should be even better. Certainly that was a very impressive first exposure to the TV streamer, and it is absolutely tiny. I will show you here a comparison between the new and the old one. If you want, you can stick it to the back of your TV, so to all intents and purposes it is invisible, and if you find the default level is too low or too high, you can just press the plus or minus button so the default is exactly where you are comfortable. You don't need to plug it in. If you've got a USB connector on the back of your TV, which if you've got a Toes-Link connection to connect it all up is very likely, and that will power your TV streamer. If you're struggling with any of this, high quality independent audiology clinics will normally be happy to connect your TV streamer and walk you through how to use it and optimize it. The only negative I found, because I've used it quite extensively now, is that I did notice some slightly weird artifacts every now and again when I was using it, but not enough for this to be a major annoyance. We've found that patients who have used the Tinitus features within the Resound Smart 3D app in conjunction with their Nexia 9 Micro RIE aids have been very pleasantly surprised by the flexibility of the adjustments they can make. So not only can you turn up and down the amount of masking that you could add onto the amplification provided by the aids, but in addition to this, you can choose from the different environmental masking sounds, which isn't always a given. In fact, some hearing aids don't even have environmental masking sounds. So the main advice, if you do have tinnitus, have a tinnitus evaluation with your audiologist. Find out if you're one of those people who can be helped, and definitely investigate other options. As a starting point though, I would certainly say get your ears examined, have a hearing test, find out if you do have a hearing loss, as the majority of people with tinnitus also have a hearing loss. The very act of putting on a hearing aid that is correctly fitted and amplifying the sounds around you, which you are missing for a lot of people, will turn the tinnitus down quite considerably. And for someone like myself where this happens, but I need that extra little bit of help, having these environmental sounds is brilliant. And if you're not aware of it, Resound also have the Resound Relief app. You can create your own custom soundscape, and of course then you can stream it into the aids. So you can be even more flexible in your approach. 8 is, are you going to be able to easily adjust the aids? Well, of course, this depends on a number of factors such as vision, dexterity, etc. Certainly for myself, when I've been wearing them, I tend to fit them to DSL version 5, which is a fitting formula, and I usually go for the pediatric version because I do feel I need that extra bit of oomph, which you do get on a pediatric fitting. But then sometimes I can feel I've slightly overcooked it and need to dial the sound down. So I can simply go to the button on my left aid, turn it down a notch or two, and then I've got it about right. In addition, I can toggle through my different programs, and I can also connect to the TV Streamer Plus, all without having to use an app or a remote. So if you do find buttons on the back of the aid a little bit fiddly, I've mentioned a little bit earlier that you do actually have a couple of different remotes. So I mentioned one that was used with that particular gentleman, but you've also got a nice, intuitive, simple to use app called Resound Smart 3D. So that will allow you to make adjustments to the aid and even create your own programs, which you can then rename and use in the future. So if you're not quite happy with the sound, you can adjust it in the moment and get it just right for your requirements. Next, we have hearing better on the phone. These devices are made for iPhone and made for Android, and as mentioned, have Bluetooth Low Energy Audio. So the people who have the latest Nexia and Galaxy flip phones and S24s, etc., are able to experience the best sound quality. And it's worth noting on the app, it did mention there were some initial teething problems with certain devices, which certainly affected my S24 Ultra, but these do now seem to be resolved. One area where there is currently an advantage to having made for all devices is their ability to connect to Bluetooth landlines, which quite a few of our patients like. However, when it comes to mobile phones, compared to his made for all aids, one gent said that he'd stopped receiving complaints from family members if he received a call when he was in a noisy coffee shop, when he used his Nexia 9s. But he did used to get these when he was using his made for all devices, due to the fact they seem to pull all the background noise through. He also called me from a busy community centre one morning to ask if I could hear all the background noise. I said, what background noise? And he informed me he was wearing the Nexia 9s. I could barely hear it. Now, whether there is going to be a Bluetooth low energy audio landline phone that comes to market, further enhancing the Nexia experience, remains to be seen. So make sure to subscribe to our channel to hear if that actually does happen. Next, will I be able to hear on Zoom calls? Assuming you're going to be using a laptop or an all-in-one computer, as opposed to a smartphone, is there a way to do this? I received a call from a gent who was testing the Resound Nexia 9 Micro RIEs, and he said he needed to speak to Resound's marketing department. I asked him why, and he said that the TV Streamer Plus did a lot more than just stream TV. He said that his Zoom calls had been enhanced on the Nexia 9s compared to his made-for-all aids in two important ways. Firstly, that he didn't experience the high battery drain that he got with his long meetings, where the aids needed to be put in the charger for a pit stop. Frustrating because he didn't have a battery pack charger and often would go out in the evening. Secondly, he had stopped getting complaints from people that he was on Zoom calls with about other people in the background, which were often in another room. This was a complaint that he often got with his made-for-all aids, and all this had been solved with a £1 cable to connect the Auracast TV Streamer Plus. Will you hear well in a theatre or cinema? We're currently in a situation where the loop, although 1937 technology, is still current technology and likely to be around for quite some time. However, Auracast, which broadcasts audio to compatible devices such as the Nexia 9s, is its successor. Devices similar to Wi-Fi routers, but broadcasting Auracast has the advantage of being cheaper and can connect to many different devices. I have access to these such as the Nexia 9 Micro RIE aids and Samsung Buds 3 Pros. It is predicted this technology will be widely adopted within the next few years, and not just in theatres and cinemas, but also airports, railway stations, sports bars, music venues, and many other locations. Okay, so that's the future. What about present day? Does the Nexia 9 Micro RIE have the telecoil allowing access to the loop? No. However, you can access it via the Remote Mic Plus by the simple press of a button. There is an admittedly much larger version of the Nexia with the telecoil, but unfortunately only in a disposable battery version. If I was to offer feedback to Resound, it would be that I'm pretty sure most of our patients would accept a slightly larger form factor with the telecoil built in to have an even more convenient solution, which Signia have managed. Admittedly, some patients have ended up choosing Resound when comparing the two brands because of the smaller size, but it is only a small number of patients. Having a Micro RIE and a telecoil version would give people a choice, as we literally have had one patient choose the battery version with telecoil, as the vast majority of our patients want rechargeable aids as long as they are reliable and have a long-lasting battery life. So 12, battery life. Simply put, I found there are two major hearing aid brands that almost definitely, in my experience, will need their batteries replacing before the end of the warranty period, sometimes more than once. I haven't found that to be the case at all with Resound. Yes, there are hearing aid manufacturers whose batteries last even longer, but if you can get 30 hours without streaming and 24 hours with, then that should pretty much cover anyone. The fact that the power bank charger can provide 3 additional charges means you always have that as a fallback option if mains power isn't available, or if you need a top-up. So if you haven't guessed, I would say for the majority of hearing impaired users, I definitely think the Nexia 9 should be on your shortlist. In addition to the very compact receiver in the canal style, there is also a hidden in plain sight anthracite custom in the ear version, which is also rechargeable. If you'd like me to do a full-length review on that model, which again we've had great success with, if you could just put the word custom in the comments, then I will know that there's an appetite for this, and I will make sure we produce this video very shortly. So this is Matthew from Zone 1 Hearing. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic rest of your day.